Hello, everyone. As Ukrainians are dealing with the aftermath of the horrific strike against Ukraine's capital, Kyiv, and other areas, I was kind of interested in this article title, in this headline, because I want more Americans to see this. So, Russia pressures U.S. to clear way for attacks on Kyiv. I don't even care whom you vote for at this point. Are you okay with this, my fellow Americans? You're right with Russia telling you what you should and should not do so that it can bomb other people? You okay with that? What they're talking about is basically the warning that Russia had issued to the U.S. Embassy and other embassies, telling their people to leave Kyiv, leave Ukraine, because that way they can continue murdering Ukrainians, but they would have fewer chances to murder somebody else from another country who might get upset and who might have nuclear weapons. That's what we're talking about, too. Now, to their credit, the EU said, fuck you. We're not going anywhere. And we're staying in Kyiv. We're standing with Ukraine. I don't know what Marco Rubio told them. So far, we didn't see any of the American embassy personnel leaving. So there's that. However, the U.S. rhetoric overall, when it comes to Russia and Ukraine, is becoming increasingly passive. Do you remember how Trump had campaigned, among other things, in addition to lowering the gas prices day one, is resolving Ukrainian conflict day one within 24 hours. And now that hasn't happened, and it's proven to be a far, far harder nut to crack than they expected. And so now they're like, well, we've done our best. If you still want to talk, just call us. Meanwhile, Ukrainians are doing what they do best: unite and rebuild. After businesses were wiped out or damaged in Kyiv, people showed up to help the rescue crews. Or if the businesses were damaged but still operational, people went there to support them, to make sure that, they have some money to start rebuilding, like a coffee shop that was damaged. So Russia keeps doing this, and again, following the classic definition of insanity, doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result. Ukrainians are not going to surrender, and they're not going to welcome your ideas because you keep pounding them into the ground. It's just not going to happen. And Ukrainians are very realistic about the whole thing, because Ukrainian government is not making any flippant statements a la Trump or Putin saying the end of war is near, blah, blah, blah. No, they don't believe that. They understand that this is a marathon. This is not a sprint. But at the same time, they know that Russia is making no progress, that they're stuck, that they're unable to hold on to the territory, that they are unable to cash in on the presently high oil prices because their oil industry is not functioning right. They understand all that. Do they want the war to end? Sure. Are they going to fold over? Are they going to roll over in front of Putin and surrender? No. In addition to Kyiv, there have been strikes on, as I mentioned, other territories. So 2 people were killed and 16 wounded in Kherson region. Kherson has been also getting pounded. Plus 2 people were killed and more than 20 injured in the Kharkiv region during a missile attack. There's been more casualties in Odessa. One person was killed and 3 were injured, and 14 more were wounded in the Dnipropetrovsk region. So that is still happening. And again, mostly this is all civilians. Now, there is an article in Washington Post whether Russians support the war in Ukraine. No, guys, this is not remarkable. The results are not remarkable because they're showing what I have been talking about this entire time from day one, especially when things got tough for Russia, when there was no instant victory. And interestingly, the passive voice that the Russians are taking actually matches the U.S. voice. So Russia-Ukraine war needs to end, okay? U.S. is ready to facilitate. It's not going to end by itself. First of all, you need to acknowledge who the instigator is, because we already know who it is, and you need to stop supporting them. You need to stop acting as if the two parties are equally at fault. And again, this is not complicated. All Russia needs to do is leave all of Ukrainian territory now. Bam. War is over. So all you need to do if you're serious about negotiating is make them do it. And before we dive into the poll results, this is another thing. So this is another thing that Ukrainian people are pointing out. Why is Russia becoming increasingly vicious? And the theory is that they are basically like a cornered animal at this point. They can't save face. Not anymore. Everybody knows, the whole world knows that they tried to take Ukraine and it didn't work. And they got mired there. Going on now 4.5 years. So Russia tries to terrorize Ukrainian people in the more and more horrific ways because they don't know what else to do. And again, all they need to do is just leave. So, back to the poll. They support the armed forces, they support the war, but they also support peace talks. And when you ask them closer as to why, there are different answers to that. You know, some basically have swallowed the whole thing, hook, line, and sinker. You know, they believe the state media, they believe the lies spread by their government. They're pretending not to understand why suddenly Ukrainians hate them. They don't get it. So that's one part. Some people actually do understand but are afraid to talk about. Some actually have the gall of accusing Ukrainians for not helping Russians overthrow their own government. And meanwhile, while they're trying to pretend that everything is fine, their economy is crumbling, their freedoms are being taken away, they barely have any access to what's going on in the outside world. And they are basically saying, well, I don't understand why nobody likes us. I don't understand why I can't travel abroad anymore. What's going on? This is a country of 140 some odd million people, and they can't get their shit together to get rid of their dictator. We should all be taking notice. More to come.